civiccentertv.com and follow us at Civic Center TV on Twitter and Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Just over the weekend, West Bloomfield Parks brought the community outside to enjoy the sights, the sounds, and the scenery of Greater West Bloomfield that's right in your very own backyard. It was National Trails Day, and several residents were making their way throughout West Bloomfield Trail and learning quite a bit along the way. I was out at the event myself, stretching my legs, getting those all-important steps in, and hearing from our residents on why they appreciate this celebration so much.
I think it's a beautiful way for people to get outside and see nature in its best. This is a great park. I do love the trails back here, the nature preserve back here the best, especially on a hot sunny day. It's nice and shaded. Lots of things to look at. It's absolutely a beautiful day for National Trails Day, and just seeing the joy from people cycling, walking, running, and the smile on everyone's faces. And we saw a deer. Such a wonderful thing to have nearby you, in such a busy, especially like a busy area off of Orchard Lake and stuff, to have this gem nearby you just to decompress and relax and take in what nature has to offer and also protect it as well. It's just awesome.
I've seen a lot of energy on the trails today, which is great. I've seen bikers, I've seen walkers, I've seen hikers. It's great to see everyone enjoying our trails. It's so important to remind everyone that we share our trails and everything with nature, including the animals. My station, for instance, is about the baby animals you're going to see in Michigan in spring. I've seen some that do furs, and then also other naturalists will do about birds and amphibians. What I like the most about it is that we get to see people that we don't normally get to see on the trails. Having a national day for it is really important because it gets people that wouldn't normally enjoy this resource out.
I'm really excited to be here. It's beautiful weather. It's clear today finally, which is fantastic, and it's a great Michigan morning. We're very proud and thankful that we're able to work with West Bloomfield Parks. We try to sponsor as many events as possible, and it's just great to be a part of the community.
It really feels like a celebration of all of the beautiful scenery that West Bloomfield has to offer, wouldn't you say?
I totally agree, 100%. I mean, it's great to see blue sky, see the sunshine, see the trees, see some water, see some wildlife. We're very, very fortunate.
What do you hope is the biggest thing that everybody takes away from here once everything's all said and done?
I hope everyone gets that feeling after being on the trails that it's a great feeling. It makes you feel more awake. It makes you enjoy the day better. And I hope everyone takes that away from National Trails Day.
So many great sights to see and several opportunities to get your exercise in. I myself ended up walking about 7 miles in total that day, which certainly was not the plan, but definitely helped to get some of that fitness in. So big thank you to West Bloomfield Parks for letting me stop by. And you can stay up to date on the exciting activities they have planned all summer long on their website, wbparks.org. In case you missed it, West Bloomfield's very own Mike McKinstry, a.k.a. the Basquatch Hunter, has plenty to celebrate right now, as the Basquatch Hunter Fish Out of Water has just reeled in both a gold and silver Telly Award. The Telly Awards are an annual awards program that honors excellence in video and television across all screens. They recognize creative and technical achievement in video and television, including commercials, branded content, and local programming. The show won a gold and silver award for general nature and wildlife programming. Mike McKinstry shared his joy and elation of the news on his Instagram page, thanking his fans and his team for all of their hard work, stating, quote, "This show has always been about more than just fishing. It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone, trying new things, and celebrating the people and places that make the outdoor world so special. The journey is far from over, and if this is what 4 seasons and 9 years total looks like, just wait for what's next." A big congratulations for Mike McKinstry for all of his hard work. Get ready to kick off summer in style at the Summer Blast-Off on Tuesday, June 18th from 5 to 8 p.m. in Sylvan Lake. Enjoy a festive evening filled with food, fun, and friendly competition. Grab a delicious bite from the Impasto food truck and cool off with free ice cream courtesy of the city. Test your skills in the euchre tournament, which starts at 6:30 p.m. And whether you're into mahjong, lawn games, or just watching the kids enjoy the bounce houses, there's something for everyone. Don't miss this fun-filled night of food and games as we celebrate the exciting start of summer together. As a reminder, this event is taking place on June 18th. This Tuesday, the West Bloomfield Fire Department will be debuting a new state-of-the-art fire truck for the community. The unveiling will be taking place tomorrow at Fire Station number 5 in West Bloomfield at 11:30 a.m. to view the brand new $1.5 million fire truck, one of the largest capital investments to public safety in decades. Here to tell us more about this new addition is West Bloomfield Assistant Fire Chief Mark Lowry. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here. It's an exciting day for us as well.
I'd imagine so. I'm excited to see this fire truck firsthand, and I'm sure the rest of the community is as well. What can you tell us about this new fire truck?
So this fire truck was originally purchased or designed back in 2022. It takes a little bit to put something this special together, so it finally arrived a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to have a dedication ceremony tomorrow at 11:30, and everyone's invited. Hope to see everyone there. If you're showing up and the parking lot looks full, immediately to our west at Provisional Living is some additional parking. So please don't drive by us, come and join us and watch this thing go into service. It is a 100-foot aerial platform, which is something we haven't had in a while. The platform that we had prior to this lasted for 25 years. We anticipate that this truck will last us another quarter of a century, and we'll take good care of it as the community and the township has supported us with such a great asset. It's the tool that we need when we need it. If you remember a little bit of history, when we had some issues at Heckman and we were doing multiple ladder rescues, this would allow us to actually take a platform right to your balcony and let you walk into our bucket and allow us to lower you to the ground instead of trying to carry you down a ladder. Very versatile truck, allows us to use it for anchor points for rope rescues. It also has a Stokes basket that will literally clip right into it. In case you aren't able to walk, we can lower you down that way, but just a great tool all around.
Certainly sounds like it, and it's going to be a very busy day at the fire station tomorrow. I'm sure everyone's going to be stopping by to get a glimpse of this exciting new truck. And I'm curious how this new apparatus is going to improve response times or firefighting capabilities within neighborhoods like Kego, Sylvan, Orchard Lake, or West Bloomfield.
Yes, this is a very specialized piece of equipment. When this is out, most likely it is a very big event. Probably the biggest truck that we own. And it is actually, that's our newest truck, but that's not the one we're unveiling. The one that you're showing, the one that will be unveiled is the tower truck. Like we said, it's a 100-foot aerial platform. We're in our areas, in most of our areas, we're starting to expand up now instead of out. And we need to be able to reach those higher heights. That's what this truck is designed to do. Also has two remote control master streams that we could flow from the ground. The entire truck is very much like a transformer that kids would recognize, can be run from a remote control. However, we'll have probably up to 4 people operating it to make sure that we're doing it effectively and safely.
Wow. And yeah, it's definitely going to be a great addition to the fire department. And can you walk us through how the 101-inch vertical reach is going to impact rescues in places like apartment complexes or commercial buildings throughout Greater West Bloomfield?
So not only does it allow us to reach some of those areas, but at the bucket itself, like I mentioned, we have a couple of remote control monitors. We also have 2.5 and 1 3/4 connections for hoses. So we can literally put the bucket to your window on the 3rd and 4th floor and then walk in from there to help extinguish fire or conduct rescues. So it's a very specialized tool for those times when we need it. It won't be needed all of the time, but when we do, it's the right tool for the right job. And we can't thank the community enough for supporting us with that. There are times when we need a specialized tool, and this is the tool to do the job.
That's absolutely right. The community plays a big role in all of this, and I'm so glad you just brought that up, because I'm curious, what community feedback did you ultimately consider when planning for this apparatus, and how do you think it reflects West Bloomfield's values?
Well, the township is very progressive when it comes to supporting us. As we continue to allow buildings to get taller, we still need to be able to provide that public safety for the taller buildings. For a while there, we only allowed a couple of stories, which was great. But as we expand, your public safety needs to expand with it and be able to support it. So as things get taller, we need to be able to do those rescues at any height. Because when somebody dials 911, they expect us to be there, and we will be.
That's absolutely right. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Assistant Fire Chief for the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Mark Lowry, talking about the brand new $1.5 million fire truck that's going to be unveiling with the fire department tomorrow, June 10th. And Mark, this fire truck is going to be serving as a symbol for the community. We're going to be seeing this truck during a lot of the big jobs that the fire department's going to be doing, and it's going to be at a lot of the community events. So I'm curious, how does the design, particularly things like the American flag wrap, help build connection with residents during events like the Juneteenth parade that's coming up, or even events like the Memorial Day parade?
Right. So when we design the truck, obviously we design it for fire rescue, fire suppression first.
Right.
Secondly, we do realize that this is probably a centerpiece for a lot of things like parades and community events and activities at the high school and anywhere where the fire department is present. So when we are designing a truck like that, you mentioned the flags. As veterans out there, we appreciate that. You'll notice that the Township of West Bloomfield is also backlit. So you would see that in the evenings as well. You'll see professionalism, knowledge, and kindness plastered right on the outside of our truck. Those are the fire department's core values, and we hold those very in high esteem for us. You'll also see at the front of the truck, you'll see representing the local Firefighters Union, Local 1721, who we work with, and they are our firefighters. They're the ones doing the work. And with that recognition comes responsibility. The responsibility to do those 3 core values: be professional, be kind, be knowledgeable, as we're serving our citizens.
That's right. Be professional, be kind, be knowledgeable. Things everybody should remember. Now, Mark, you talked about a little bit ago how you want this truck to be staying for the community for at least a quarter of a century, just like the last one did. So I want to talk about the role that sustainability or long-term durability ultimately plays in choosing some of the features, like maybe the galvanized aerial sections. Like, how did those come into play?
So when you design a truck like this, you basically design it from the tires all the way to the tower. And as we're designing something like this, knowing the length that we're going to have it, you mentioned the galvanized frame, you mentioned the galvanized ladder. We have all of our electronics wire loomed so that there's less chance for some of those to rub on areas when the truck is vibrating down the road. This is also a truck that won't run on every call. It will run on confirmed fires. It'll obviously show up for special events, but it's not something that we're going to pull out and use every day. It's going to be a truck and a tool that is pulled out when it's needed. You'll often see a fire engine and a rescue proceeding to a medical. That's so that we can put 4 paramedics on the scene. This is probably not a truck that you will see doing something like that. When you see this truck on the road, if it's lit up, going lights and sirens, it's probably because something's on fire and it's very important. This isn't a vehicle that you'll see probably running around every day. You will see it when we have special events, and we made it as nice to represent the township as we could, because we do want to thank them and we do want the people to have some pride in the trucks that we have out there on the road supporting them.
That's right. If you see this truck on the road, that means something big is happening, but we know that you guys are on it. Mark, I won't hold up too much more of your time. I know you're a busy guy. I am curious, though, how does this purchase reflect the department's ongoing goals for modernization, recruitment, and community engagement for the next few years?
Right, so this is obviously a center point. When you see something like this driving down the road, it's an eye catcher. And that's 3/4 of the reason that we cut out and blew up the West Bloomfield piece of the sign, because we want people to look at us, to see that this is a place that you want to go. It's a great community to work in, a great community that we serve, and we want to be proud, and we want others to come here. This truck also, when you talked about it being around for a 1/4 of a century, when we designed it sort of future-proofing. So there are parts of this truck that we aren't even going to be using when we start it. There will be some empty cabinets because there may be tools and equipment that we haven't even thought of yet. As electric cars come out and fires change and fire science changes, we may need different tools to combat some of those issues. So you'll notice that there's 110, there's 12 volt in almost all of the cabinetry. We may not be currently using those, but we may be using them later when we turn to more electric tools, or we need to charge different lithium batteries to support our tools. So it's a truck designed for today and for the next 25 years.
That's right. Lots of important resources that are going to make a huge difference throughout Greater West Bloomfield. Mark, last question before we wrap things up. We know about this fire truck that's coming to the fire department, but can you provide us any insight on maybe some other things that might be in the works with the fire department for other equipment that'll help out the community?
So the fire department itself has a tiered purchasing program. If you were to ask me what truck are we going to be looking at in 2032, I can tell you that. We have rescues that are rotating through the system. We're doing refurbishments on our equipment to make sure that whenever we're on a call, we're providing the best vehicle and the best service we possibly can. We also do the same thing when it comes to things like striker cots and some of our cardiac monitors. All of those are on a tiered program, so we're staying up with as modern equipment in modern times as we possibly can be. We don't buy everything all at once and let it wear out all at once. We have a very defined long-term plan for how we intend to spend the taxpayer dollars, because that's one of those things that's important to us. They provide us with that trust, and we want to make sure that we have the best equipment possible for them when they call us.
Man, you guys are planning ahead. I love to see it, and I love to hear about all the work you guys are doing for the community. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Happy to be here. And remember, tomorrow, 11:30 at Fire Station number 5, 5425 West Maple Road. Please come and help us celebrate pushing this truck into service. Hope to see you there.
I will be there. You took the words right out of my mouth. Tomorrow, 11:30, this fire truck will be on display for the community, and they can get a great look and seeing what the image of the fire department is going to be for the next few years. As has been talked about in the news recently, the Canadian wildfires are affecting our local air quality. Smoke from Canadian wildfires has led to air quality alerts across Michigan, with areas like the Upper Peninsula and the Northwest Lower Michigan experiencing unhealthy to very unhealthy conditions due to elevated PM 2.5 levels. Residents, especially those with respiratory or heart conditions, are advised to limit outdoor activities, stay indoors with windows closed, and use air purifiers or HVAC systems with high-efficiency filters to migrate exposure. We recently spoke with senior meteorologist with the Michigan Department of Eagle, Jim Haywood, to hear his thoughts on the matter.
So, Jim, we're briefly just talking about this. Some people may not even know about some of these wildfires. They're not necessarily affecting us here directly yet, but it's still something to keep note on. So how has the recent influx of wildfire smoke from Canada impacted air quality monitoring and public health advisories in Michigan?
Well, I'll tell you what, this past week has been pretty busy for us. Obviously, the UP really got hit hard earlier in the week. We were seeing unprecedented numbers up there. To give you an idea of what they were seeing, what we consider to be good, and the units that we use is called a microgram per cubic meter, and we consider the good range to be 0 to 9 micrograms per cubic meter.
Okay.
We were having hours up in the UP, up at the Marquette monitor, that were exceeding 400 micrograms per cubic meter. We were getting messages from the people in our district office up there that they literally could not see across the street. And we asked them how that compared to all the smoke that we saw back in 2023, and they said it was worse. Now, what that has been doing, that has been slowly, very slowly sliding to the south. And originally, we thought it was going to be confined to basically the northern half of the lower peninsula. But as we got up this morning, we saw that it had slid even further south, and we were seeing unhealthy readings pretty much the I-96 corridor there from Grand Rapids to Lansing over into the Detroit area. And we anticipate that it's going to be pretty much kind of gunky like that the rest of the day. And we updated our advisories for the entire lower peninsula that will run through today. And the lower half of the lower peninsula, we're going to have it running through noon tomorrow. So
Okay. Wow.
it's not going anywhere fast. The culprit on this is we have a cold front that is stalled down on the border, and that has a tendency to draw that upper air smoke down to the surface.
Okay.
And it is just dragging its feet getting out of here. And so that's why we are getting the smoke and continuing to get the smoke.
Oh, wow. A lot of moving pieces here, Jim, and we're glad to have you on your team on top of it. It seems like it's extremely dangerous air for our UP residents as well, but we're hoping that everything gets, just resolved over time sooner than later. But with that being said, I just want to move on to just the generic topics of air quality in general. With that being said, maybe revisit the wildfire. But what strategies does your organization, Eagle, employ to forecast air quality amidst the unpredictable nature of wildfire smoke?
Well, you do have that right. It does tend to be very unpredictable.
Right.
And so it's not one of these things we can do a forecast and then turn off the computer and go away. We pretty much have to monitor it every hour of every day when we are in a smoke episode like this. As far as strategies, what we do, again, we monitor it consistently. We have 3 meteorologists that work for Eagle Air Quality Division, and I'm just one of them. We continually look at the computer forecast. Honestly, sometimes they're good. Probably more times they're not very accurate. Like I say, we really anticipated that the heavier smoke was going to stay north of us today.
Right.
It didn't do that, and the models weren't picking that up. So we follow that. Now, once we do see smoke as we are seeing today, we will go in and we will beef up our advisories, and if necessary, all the way up to an alert level, which is a little more into the unhealthy range. We contacted the National Weather Service. We have them put out hazardous air quality alerts on their title page. We get in, we update our message that goes to the EPA. So if you get onto links such as airnow.gov, which is a very good website, you will see our forecast there and the areas. Not only does it show what the current air pollution is, it will show the areas that we are forecasting to be either an advisory or an alert. And also, I always, and we've got a website there. It's not really a website, but it's called EnviroFlash. And you can subscribe to that.
Okay.
And whenever we do a forecast, especially when we get up into an advisory or an alert level, it'll send you a text message letting you know what the air quality is and what we anticipate it to be.
Interesting. And okay, so there's so much more I want to dive into, and I know we don't have too much time, but there's some other things that I want to kind of get into as well. But with me right here live on The Splash, senior meteorologist for the Michigan Department of EGLE, that's Environment, Great Lakes, and Environment Air Quality Division, we have Jim Haywood, just talking about the Canadian wildfires, air quality, how it's affecting us here in Michigan, and etc. Now, a few things before we continue, before we wrap up. In what ways does EGLE collaborate with local communities to promote awareness and mitigation of air pollution?
Well, in the lower half of the Lower Peninsula, typically our air quality issues deal with ozone.
Okay.
And we work very closely with SEMCOG, which is in the Detroit area, and also another group on the west side of the state that's called the West Michigan Clean Air Coalition. They are our public outreach. When we think we're going to have bad air quality in those areas, we reach out to them. And they do such thing as contact the Department of Transportation. You know, you may be driving down the road and you'll see one of those signs on the side of the road that say bad air quality day. They do all that for us, so that is very helpful. And then also, like I say, we contact the National Weather Service and they put alerts out as well.
Good, good. Okay, so one thing I want before I let you go, on our smartphones, tablets, devices, nowadays, when we look at the weather, it'll give us something that says AQI, Air Quality Index, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of us may not even know how to read this. Can you just explain AQI and how we can just read this measurement on our devices?
Sure. AQI, you got it, Air Quality Index. It shows the different levels of what the air quality is going to be in any particular area, where it can range all the way from good all the way up to hazardous. And it's color coded, which is nice. Sometimes you get lost in the weeds looking at the numbers. You don't really know what the numbers mean. So it's color coded, where we've got green is good. That's obviously what we like to see. Then we get into the moderate range, which is yellow, which is still okay. We don't mind moderate. But you go up to the next level, which we call unhealthy for sensitive groups, then it's color-coded orange. That level is the first level that we start sending advisories to. Again, the different ways that we do that, either through AirNow or EnviroFlash or through the National Weather Service, we get that news out there to you. If it gets even worse, it gets into unhealthy, which is red, which is what we're seeing right now in a lot of the monitors along the I-96 corridor. If it gets worse than that, you get to the very unhealthy, and then ultimately the hazardous, which is a maroon color. So, you know, it's kind of the cool colors all the way up to the hot colors.
Right.
And so that's what you really need to pay attention to. Again, the numbers can be a little bit confusing. Just go with the colors. Green and yellow is good, but when you start getting into the orange and the reds and worse than that, then you need to pay attention.
Understood, understood. Well said. And lastly, just in case of any other situation where there's wildfires or just ozone layer, like you said, and there's just some state where we have to protect ourselves, what measures can residents take to protect themselves during a period of poor air quality?
Well, ozone is different from particulates. When we call an advisory for ozone, we usually tell people just stay inside where it's cooler, because ozone really doesn't infiltrate into your house.
Okay.
Once it loses that solar radiation, it kind of goes away. The particulates, the smoke that we're seeing, is totally different. Your indoor air quality can be just as bad as your outdoor air quality if you're leaving your windows or your doors open. So we tell people on days like this where it's smoky, where we're calling an advisory or an alert, stay indoors. If you have to be outside, try to really limit your strenuous activity. Don't go running. Don't do physical things any more than you have to. Stay indoors. Run your air conditioner if you have it. Have a very good filtration system, a nice HEPA filter there in your house. It's just so that you can recirculate the air in your house and weed out all that particulate that might be getting into your house. And that's really the best thing you can do. You can't stop it. I mean, it's coming across the border. Nobody can stop it. It's here. There's really nothing that's precautionary that you can do to stop it. but you can help protect your health by following some simple guidelines like staying indoors and keeping your air conditioner on.
Well said. Simple enough for me, too. And we want to thank you so much for your time again. Once again, Senior Meteorologist for the Michigan Department of EGLE, that's Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy Air Quality Division, Mr. Jim Haywood. We appreciate your time and information, sir.
Big thank you to Jim Haywood from EGLE for stopping by and to give us this very important information to keep in mind with the Canadian wildfires. Now, it should be noted that the air quality alert that was mentioned during that interview has since expired. But there are still things to be on the lookout for pertaining to the Canadian wildfires. And to do so, you can just head to weather.gov/DTX to learn more updates and to stay alert with your air quality in your neck of the woods. But we are going to be taking a quick break right now. We got plenty of other great stories to get into right here on the Splash Live right after this. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Stop by the West Bloomfield Town Hall June 11th to get your health in check at the 16th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. Over 40 businesses, organizations, and vendors take the time to showcase healthy practices, tips, and resources for the community. Young or old, there's something for everyone and everybody. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday, June 11th, the 16th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. Catch a live broadcast of the event on Civic Center TV or civiccentertv.com.
Good nutrition can help make sure you have enough iron, calcium, and vitamin C in your body, which can make it harder for lead to enter your bloodstream. Help protect your family from the harmful effects of lead.
Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Party time is almost here if you live in Greater West Bloomfield, because June 20th is the date for the first Kego Harbor Block Party of the summer. It's the first of 3 block parties set to occur this summer, each one taking place on the 3rd Friday of the month. The first one coming up in June features games, food trucks, and even a performance from the Groove Sons. Sounds like a fun night, and of course, none of this would be possible without the work of the Kego Harbor Parks and Rec Department and the incredible leadership of Kirsten Sonneville Douglas, who joins us right now on the Splash Live. Kirsten, good morning.
Good morning, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Of course, really excited to be getting into this. I love the block parties. I know everybody else in the community does as well. And I'm curious, how have the Kego community's block parties evolved since their initial inception, and what local traditions would you say have emerged from them?
So the Kego Block Party is kind of an evolving event. We started it a long time ago when, and it was actually before let me start again. It's evolved. The Parks and Rec started it, and it was a transition from an organization who did skate night, and we wanted to make it more of a community event. And so we kicked it off with one, just trying to activate our park, bring some live music into the park, which was one of my goals. And it was really well. And then everyone was going, so we're going to do this like every weekend, right? And we're like, tap the brakes. That's not really doable. But it was something that we could say, hey, we could do it probably once a month for the summer. And so the Block Party series then evolved from that. And it's just wonderful to see our community come out, just connect, to have fun with listening to live music, having some snacks or dinner with some friends, playing some of the games, right? We've got Connect Four. We also have the golf ladder game and a couple of other ones, some big Jenga. And then we have local artisans and crafters that come out there too. So it's just wonderful to see the community just come together.
That's absolutely right. I think you made the right call with once a month, because that makes it so much more special and so much more important for everyone in the community to get involved. And Kirsten, what impact have you seen these events have on neighborhood engagement and residents feeling more connected?
I love that we can meet with new neighbors, right? And meet, I've got a young son. And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't know there was another kid his age. And so then just connecting that way, also getting others to volunteer. None of this happens without volunteers. And so getting other people that come to the events, and they'll be like, well, I'd love to volunteer. How can I contribute to my community? And that's actually what got me going into Parks and Rec. It started off when we moved to Kego Harbor, coming to the holiday event as well as the egg hunt. And I was like, this is amazing. And having a young son at the time going, I have an event background. How can I lend those skill sets to my community? And the rest is history.
Wow, great start for all of these events, and everyone has so much to look forward to with this year's lineup for the Kego block parties. A great food truck every month and a great band every month. I'm curious, how do you choose the artists and the food trucks that are featured at this event, and what roles would you say local businesses play?
Great question. So the bands, a lot of them are bands that reach out to us. Sometimes it's just me going and looking at local venues, like B1 has live music, Gino's has live music. And so tapping into some of those, we have some local entities, people that reside here in Kego Harbor. And so last year we used the Dudes. So we try not to do the same one every year. So like trying to cycle them through. So we've invited the Dudes for next year. Speaking of the food trucks then, that's for me reaching out. You hear people mention that, hey, there was a truck rally. This one was fantastic. And so I'm reaching out to them. They book out fast. So we start planning this event almost a year in advance to make sure that we have enough food trucks. We only have one food truck. The event isn't large enough to be able to manage 2 food trucks. We want to make sure it's business, or it's good business for the food trucks as well. So come hungry, come support them, so that we can continue that tradition.
That doesn't surprise me that the food trucks get booked very, very quickly, because summer's obviously very busy season. It's prime food truck season. They're going to be busy and they're going to be all over the place. But I love hearing these stories about these connections that come from the Kego block parties, as you mentioned earlier. And these have been going on for a few years now. Do you have a memorable story of a child or a family whose experience at the block party has stood out to you?
I love the kids, right? I mean, I have a kiddo, and I love watching them dance to the music. I love watching them, color with the chalk on the sidewalk. And so then we get to see that when we're walking by the next week, if Mother Nature is kind to us, and to see the colors. So that just lasts there for at least a whole nother week of just seeing our community gathering and stuff. We have a fall one. It's not part of the Kego Harbor Block Party series, but it was the first kickoff of our fall event. And to see a youth band play, and so the kids got so excited to see, oh my gosh, they're little kids, and they're not little kids, they're youth performing, but that's more tangible for them. And it was so amazing to see them just be enthralled with that music.
I'd imagine so. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Kirsten Sonneval-Douglas from Kego Harbor Parks and Recreation, talking about the Kego Harbor block parties that are making their way back to the community for the summer season. The first one's set to take place on June 20th. Now, Kirsten, in what ways do you hope the block party events help young artists and entrepreneurs grow within Kego Harbor, especially with something like Art Sale?
Right? So they can come walk around every year we have more artists and more crafters coming and participating. So it'd be amazing if, we have a little young entrepreneur that wants to join it. They can reach out to Art Sale on Facebook. We would love to have them. We had a couple of them actually at the fall event that I was talking about specifically. So everyone is welcome. Everyone, we hope, would continue to participate. And so we encourage them to reach out.
Awesome. Always love to hear it. Now, with events like these, especially ones that have stood the test of time and have become such fixtures in the Greater West Bloomfield community, how does the Parks and Recreation Department measure the success for these kinds of community events?
We measure it mostly by attendance, but also how engaged are our community members, right? Every year, the Block Party, there are more attendees. And so for us, that's successful. It takes a good 5 years for an event to kind of be solidified. And so we're not there yet. We're almost there. And so every event we see more and more. The struggle is it's an outdoor event. And so Mother Nature, if there is a chance of rain, we will see a drop in attendance, but that's not any fault of the actual event. And so we kind of take that in stride, but every event we've seen more attendees. And so for us, that's a success.
Well, I think this event is going to be sticking around for a very, very long time. It truly is a staple of the Keego Harbor community. And I got one more question before we wrap things up, Kirsten. What community feedback have you received that helps shape the planning for future block parties? And how can West Bloomfield area neighbors get involved?
Just volunteering, but the community feedback has been really positive. People really enjoy it. The problem is the event, people want it longer, but it's outdoors. And so for us, we have to take, the feedback and then apply it to it. If we have that event go until 9:30, it's dark, especially in the September event. The July event, different, right? So we wanted to try to make this event something that was scheduled, and so that it is something that everyone knows. It'll always be the third Friday of June, July, and August. So you put it on your calendar, and then we don't have to think about the date itself, okay? And we'll promote that with the date, but that it is something that every community member can know. The block parties are the third Friday of June, July, and August. Also, it doesn't overlap usually with any of the other community events that are happening in the Greater West Bloomfield area. A lot of those happen on weekends, or if it's a school-related event, those will have happened prior. So we're trying to be mindful, because we're all very involved in our communities, that we're not overlapping or competing with other events.
Important dates for everybody to remember. The first Keego Block Party taking place on June 20th. Hope to see everybody out there. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today here in the Splash Live.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for your support always.
Always love talking about these great things that really showcase what's to look forward to for the summer season. It's just a few short weeks away. I can't wait to see it, and I'm sure the rest of the community can't wait as well. And with summer just around the corner, everyone is looking forward to getting back out on the water. But before that happens, it's important to remember some key safety requirements to keep in mind, especially when it comes to boating. Lieutenant Brian Burwell of the Oakland County Technical Support Group Patrol Services Division recently joined us on The Splash to give us some insight.
Happy to have you on, and the Sheriff's Office as well, because you are leading the charge in many of our communities here in Greater West Bloomfield and surrounding areas, keeping our lakes safe and patrolled over the summer season. It's a really busy time of the year, especially now that we're after Memorial Day. We're in that unofficial summer season, soon to be official in late June. So as people get ready to go out on their boats this summer season, what are some of the most common mistakes you see boaters make and others enjoying our lakes over the summer season?
Probably the thing we see the most out there is people running out of fuel on the boat. Also, not checking the weather before they go out. One of the things we always remind people is right before you take that boat out, especially at the start of the season, take a few minutes to go through all the cabins and all the spaces on your boat. Make sure all your equipment's there. Check your life jackets. Make sure life jackets are in good working shape. Check the buckles. Check the straps. maybe it's time to replace them. Make sure you have Coast Guard approved life jackets. Make sure you have your throw device, your fire extinguishers are charged up. Take a few minutes to go through and make sure you have that equipment. Also, make sure you're always, if you are out on the lake, make sure you are swimming in designated swim areas. Those areas are safe for swimmers to be in.
And you mentioned just a moment ago some of these items like life preservers especially are a given. They're some of the most important things that everybody should have with them on their boat, and in some cases have one for each person in their vessel at a given time. What would you say are the top three pieces of safety-related equipment that people should always have with them on their boat, and how do they directly each contribute to keeping our boaters and others having fun on our boats safe this summer?
All safety equipment's important and required by the law, but, making sure you have a working fire extinguisher, making sure your horn is working, making sure those life jackets are size appropriate, making sure that, you check the label to make sure the weight and the person you're putting in that life jacket understands how to put the life jacket on. So especially with children, making sure they're in the right life jacket, making sure it fits them properly, making sure that life jacket's in good working shape. We always tell people, just like a seatbelt in the car, life jackets don't work if you don't wear them. So it's important to have those life jackets, make sure they're easily accessible. So if their emergency arises, make sure you know where the equipment is in the boat. Make sure you have a throwable device on the boat. Again, making sure right before you leave that dock, you check the weather. Make sure loved ones and family members know where you're going when you head out on the lake. Make sure that if you're heading out to the lake, people know where you're going to be, what time you plan on returning, where you're parking your vehicle at, things like that. So if you don't return in that timely manner and they do have to call the sheriff's office or the local police or fire, that we have a starting point to know where to start searching for you. Obviously, alcohol consumption on the lake is always a problem. Drink in moderation. When you're on a vessel or on a boat, alcohol is going to affect you a little bit more. Because you're in the elements, the sun's on you, the movement of the boat, you're dehydrating a little quicker. People don't always realize how much alcohol is affecting them on the water. So certainly drink in moderation. And, remember, as the captain of those boats, you're responsible for everybody who's going on that boat to get them back in safely.
Oakland County Sheriff's Lieutenant Brian Burwell is with us on the Splash Live. As we get ready for boating season in the Greater West Bloomfield community, perhaps you're seeing this after we're already well underway and you're just trying to get some helpful tips before you make your way to the water. Great advice from our friends at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. And Lieutenant Burwell, a lot of people will go out on motorboats on our various lakes across Greater West Bloomfield, but there's so many different vessels that people may be on. Some people like the sort of so-called speed boats. They like to be on sailboats on those windier days, or they're just on personal watercraft like jet skis. So depending on the vessel, how do some of those safety measures change?
Well, we always tell people to, take a boater safety class. We offer them free here at the Sheriff's Office monthly. It's so important to understand the rules of the waterway and to take that boater safety class to understand what the law requires you to do and understand the rules of the lake. When you're out on a boat, understanding your surroundings, what's around you, being mindful of people in the water. And that's what goes back to with swimming in a designated swim area. If you're not, if you're jumping off the side of a boat in the water, if you don't know the depth on, you don't know what's below the surface, other boats are in the area. So again, really try and get people to remember that those swim areas are put there for a reason. Make sure you're swimming in a designated swim area. Again, watching your alcohol consumption. If you are on whether it's a PWC, a personal watercraft, or in a speedboat or in a pontoon boat, exercising that caution. And again, drinking in moderation. If you are going to choose to consume alcohol on the lake, making sure you're not over the limit and you're being responsible.
And of course, Lieutenant Burwell, we live in Michigan. Michigan summers, while usually hot and muggy, they have their variety of weather. We get some colder days in there. We certainly get some stormy days that can be quite treacherous in their own right. How should weather contribute to people's plans before they hit the waterways?
We've had a few boating accidents and drownings occur where people ventured out on the lake and did not realize a storm was coming in. And, before they knew it, they found themselves, even on our smaller inland lakes here, they found themselves in a situation that they were unprepared for. And that storm's coming in with heavy rain and, they just weren't prepared for it. So making sure checking a weather app before you go out so you understand if lightning and thunderstorms are rolling in. They do roll in quicker than people sometimes realize. And just taking time to check them weather apps and making sure before you go out on the lake, you have good weather and that if a thunderstorm is coming in, that you have enough time to safely get off the water and get back to shore and get back to your car or, at least the storm passes.
Lieutenant Brian Burwell is with us from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. Plenty of more information can be found on their website, oakgov.com/sheriff. If you want to learn more about boater safety courses, as Lieutenant Burwell mentioned, offered free monthly all throughout the summer season. Really great opportunity, even if you are an experienced boater, to get that refresher before you hit the water or you're in the middle of the season. And Lieutenant Burwell, it's also really important to understand that while there are some general rules and some general precautions that people can take, we have a variety of different waterways. They're under many different jurisdictions locally and across the state. How important is it for people to understand the differences between the rules in one area versus another before they get on the water?
You always want to go out on water you're familiar with and make sure you take time to know where there might be hazards on the water, understanding if you're going out on maybe some of the larger lakes like Lake St. Clair, Lake Huron, you understand where you're going, how you're going to get back, relying on the fact that if you have a GPS unit, it's always important to have a cell phone with you and some type of communication. Again, letting people know when you're going to be departing, when you should be returning. Any lake you go on, there's always sandbars or sunken islands or things maybe hazardous in the water. If you're not familiar with those lakes, making sure to take the time to do some research before you go out on that waterway. Also making sure that if you are going to venture out onto the water that you're not familiar with, your speeds are lower. Certainly no high-speed boating after dark on many of our lakes. And being careful with just not to run aground and we just had an injury this weekend where a boater lost control of their boat and was thrown into a dock and a person was injured in it. Another boat had passed them. They got caught in the wake of the boat, we believe, and the boat driver lost control of his vessel running into a dock. So, just understanding to slow it down when you're out there and using good common sense and good judgment out there and understanding that the lakes do get crowded, especially on the weekends. You have a lot of boat traffic out there. And if you're not familiar with those areas of the lake, where that traffic's going to be on the water.
And I know that, of course, we fairly recently celebrated the Memorial Day holiday. That's a big weekend for people to start getting out on the water at the beginning of the season. But the biggest day, arguably, of the entire season, at least in our community, is the 4th of July weekend. And you think about some of those common problem areas like the sandbar on Cass Lake that, while people go out there aiming to have a good time and be with people that they enjoy being with over the holiday, sometimes that can get a little bit tough on the sandbar in Cass Lake. We know that that's a pinpoint for people in the city of Keego Harbor. So when we get to those holiday weekends, and we know that we're going to have a busy time on some of those lakes, especially beloved places like Cass Lake, what factors should people, especially those coming into these communities, take into effect as they look to have a good time, but ultimately keep the community they're coming into or the community that they're in safe in the process?
Cass Lake is a very popular destination in our county, and we certainly want people to enjoy the holiday weekend. We want to have a safe weekend. 4th of July is considerably one of the busiest times in the Marine unit. That sandbar is averaging anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 people or more on it. A lot of drinking occurring on the holiday weekend. The deputies will be out in force again this year. You're looking at 19 to 20 deputies are deployed on that lake alone in our county. A lot of boat traffic. We certainly work very closely with our law enforcement partners, the DNR, and we definitely have a lot of officers out there looking for unsafe behavior. Again, if you're venturing out on the lake, again, taking a motor safety class, understanding the rules of the lake, understanding, down and in moderation there is certainly a huge problem on that lake. Is the alcohol consumption and just the sheer volume of people there on that lake on that holiday weekend.
Lieutenant Brian Burwell is with us on the Splash Live from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office as we are in now boating season. The summer weather is here in Greater West Bloomfield. It's here to stay, which means we're going to have people out on all of our different lakes across Greater West Bloomfield. It's one of the things that we love the most about our local community, but it's important that we make sure we go out with safety first and foremost. Lieutenant Burwell, anything else that the Sheriff's Office believes is vitally important for the people of Greater West Bloomfield to know that we haven't discussed yet today regarding boating season?
I think again, just Oakland County's got a lot of great waterways to enjoy, and we want everybody to have a safe summer. And just remembering to wear those life jackets. And again, we offer boater safety classes all throughout the summer and winter. There's no charge for any of that services. And again, just if people are going to venture out on the lakes, right before you leave that dock, take a minute just to go over your safety equipment. Even a lot of injuries occur at that dock when people are coming in. Don't let, your arms or legs get between you and the dock. Use the bumpers of the boat. A lot of injuries occurring right at the dock, people getting kind of caught between the dock and the boat. Just making sure you understand, if your equipment's in good working order, again, proper life jackets and, again, moderation with the drinking on the water.
It all seems like second nature, but it only stays that way if you keep all this in mind all throughout the summer season. Lieutenant Burwell, again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Very important information for everybody to keep in mind as they get back out on the water this summer. But we appreciate Lieutenant Burwell for stopping by on the Splash Live to giving us this important information. Recently, in Greater West Bloomfield, the Chaldean Community Foundation opened its doors on its brand new cultural center, inviting bishops, members, and township officials to check out the space and for the community to see all of the incredible resources that are making their way to the West Bloomfield area. And I was there to capture all the action and to hear how important this new center really is to the community.
What has been your favorite thing to see here tonight from all the incredible amenities that are available?
So my favorite thing to see is by far the library, Bishop Brahim Library. The manuscripts, I love history, so just to see like 1,000-year-old manuscripts, that's our roots, and seeing that it's been digitized and all that they've done to preserve and keep those records and to make them accessible to future generations to come. It's really a beautiful thing.
Beautiful place, #1 community center I've seen in America. It's a full service building from studios to libraries, offices, Chaldean support, chamber, foundation, and the church is involved as well too. So you have priests that are active coming in and out every day.
It's really a dream come true for many people in the Chaldean community. We've been trying to figure out how can we best preserve our culture, our heritage, our identity, and this is a culmination. I mean, we've been looking at this building for more than 10 years, believe it or not, and by the grace of God, we're able to buy it about a year ago and really accelerated the renovation and are very happy to now share this with the general community. We have a cooking demonstration kitchen, podcast studios, television studio, business incubator, a theater. These are just some of the wonderful variety of options that we have at this new center.
It's absolutely phenomenal. It's our West Campus. As you know, we've been around for almost 24 years. This is a tremendous achievement to be in this phenomenal town. We're in one of the richest communities in the state of Michigan. And it's a great honor to be here, and it's a great honor to serve our 500,000 Chaldean residents all across the United States of America. So that's what this organization is going to do here in West Bloomfield. We've got the library. We're going to have our National Museum here, and most of all, we're going to be serving our Chaldean community that's needy, that needs help. And we're not just open to Chaldeans; we're open to everybody, of course. So we're very proud of that.
Do nights like these make you proud to be Chaldean?
Yeah, I think this is what we're trying to do is create facilities that will serve generations to come. And so that more and more people will use this facility, Chaldean or not, to the greater benefit. It's educational, it's cultural, and it's meaningful. Those are very important.
The biggest thing that I want people to take away is that they need to learn to give back. That's one of the things that we're very proud of with our Jewish brothers and sisters is they're really, really good at giving back, and we want to teach our Chaldean community to do the same thing, to give back. We've raised over $15 million, and we hope to continue that. So that's the greatest achievement would be if our people learn to give back to the community.
Love to see that excitement all throughout the community. But that's going to do it for us today here on The Splash Live. I want to say a big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on our team for helping to make this show possible. You can check out all the information right now, scanning the QR code to go straight to civiccentertv.com. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.